Hello everyone, I'm Gregory Weese, and this is my game review of a game called Europa Universalis 4, or just shortened version known as EU4. And if you've never heard of this game, this is by Paradox Interactive, and this game is about playing as a country and taking over the world. So, this will be the title screen. The first thing you'll notice is Europe, and some options here. There's a tutorial to the game, but we won't be looking at that today. Some options, some content, because this game comes with a plethora of DLCs, and you can get your own mods. This game supports both single player and multiplayer, so you can play with your friends. And so how this game works is once you load in, you can choose to play as a country starting in at the regular time. It's going to be the 11th November in 1444, and that's the earliest you can start playing the game without mods. And here we can play as any country we want to that exists in this time. For example, we could play as the Aztec Empire, or Cusco, which is a country that can form the Incan Empire through events, decisions, and conquest in the game. Or we could play as Castile, Portugal, France, etc. So how this works is each nation, of course, has its own location, has a number of provinces, an army. Each has its own ruler, as you can see here. So if we're looking at the country of France, you'll notice it owns this area near France, all of these blue territories. They are in the Western Technology Group. They are a kingdom, which is the middle government rank. They follow the Catholic religion. They have the Technology Group 333 right now, which I'll get to later. And they have their custom ideas. So let's go over national ideas first when we're looking at the game. So each nation, from France to Castile to Austria, each have their own special ideas. And what happens as you unlock ideas in the game, every 3 ideas you unlock, you'll unlock 1 national idea for the game. So starting off with France, you'll have plus 20% manpower, plus 1 diplomatic reputation. And once you've unlocked 3 more ideas, you'll unlock this idea called French language in all courts, diplomatic relations plus 1. And diplomatic relations allow you to have more vassals or more allies or more military access. And the second idea will be Elan, morale of armies, and so on. So every country has a special set of ideas like this, like the French ideas or Muscovite ideas, which I'll be showing you a playthrough of Muscovy soon. Polish ideas, and so on. So, in addition to this political map view, you can see a religious view. So, historically, this whole area of the world is Catholic. So, in 1444, the game will start as Catholic. There will be a strip of Orthodoxy right here. Then there will be Sunni Islam, which will be the dominant faith throughout most of the game, as it'll usually spread to much of Africa and all of this region. There's Shia Muslim. And religions each have their own special modifiers, like Catholicism reduces unrest in Catholic provinces. Orthodoxy has a special patriarch authority. Sunni has its piety scale, and so does Shia. And so on. And Coptic, in the newest expansion, has its own religious ideas. So, anyway, the main goal of this game is to do whatever you want as a country. For example, France, I could be playing a France game and trying to do a European conquest goal, such as I'm trying to take over all of Europe. Or I could be playing as Venice. Venice has its own special government type called a Serene Republic, which is also a merchant republic. And this gives you extra merchant power, trade power. So you can do a playthrough such as that. So, you can just pick one of these countries to play. So first we're going to go over to our little saved games button here, and we're going to check out the current game that I'm in so I can show you a little bit more in depth into what the game looks like while you're playing it. And also at the bottom here you'll notice these country flags. These flags just show what countries are interesting to play at this point in the game. Oh, and something I forgot to go over. You can pick to start from different points in the game. So let's just take a country I know changes. For example, we have the Ottoman Empire here, and right here is what's left of the crumbling Byzantine Empire. So what I can do here is jump to the fall of Byzantium, and at this point Ottomans will own Constantinople and some countries will have changed. And France will have gotten some rebels, and the Aztecs have conquered a few provinces, and Cusco has conquered a few provinces over here. Muscovy hasn't done much. Tver has gotten bigger. And we can continue doing that, so let's jump to the American War for Independence, 4th of July, 1776. So you'll notice that over here, the New World has a lot more land in it. The United States exists. All of these lands are occupied and colonized by people such as Spain and so on. Spain has formed over here rather than just Castile. Great Britain exists. The Commonwealth exists. A huge Russia exists, which I'll get to how these countries form in a moment. But we're going to jump over to saved games here. And we're going to look at my current game that I've started to play as Muscovy. And Muscovy is the country that you can see has formed Russia right there. So we'll just jump into this game right here. I've only played about 14 years of the game, but you can see this is what I've done with Muscovy so far. And let's hit play on that. So the game's core dynamic is, of course, expansion or exploration if you're playing as a country such as Portugal, Castile, France, or England. The game is best learned by just continuously playing it. So once you get into a game, you'll see these, which are your armies. What you can do is you can command these armies. Let's say I wanted this army to move over here. I just select it and I click where I want it to move. So I can move around armies like that. And this game has a lot of menus, so that's what I'm probably going to spend a lot of time going over, so you can have a better understanding of that. So at the top, you'll see your country flag, and there's a country view for that, but we'll get to that in a moment. This is your treasury. You gain money called ducats. So, for example, I have 136, and I can spend those on armies, buildings, and so on. To the right of this, you'll see a manpower option. This is how much manpower I have in my country. As my troops die in war, I'll spend manpower and money to reinforce them, and as I create troops, I'll spend manpower to gain those. Next to that, you'll see a sailors. Sailors are used to man boats, and as a country that only has a few coastal provinces right now, I'm not going to worry about that much as Muscovy. On other countries such as Venice or Aragon, who have a lot of coastal provinces, or the Ottomans, the navy and sailors will be a much more important part. Next to that, you can see the stability option. Stability goes from +3 to -3, and it can be gained and lost through events or spending other points on it. Each point of stability gives you the following things, such as global trade power, foreign spy detection, national unrest, and so on. And each point improves that, and negative stability causes the exact opposite. So -1 stability would give me -1 trade power, -5 spy detection, -1 unrest, and so on. So you tend to try to keep that up. Next to that is your corruption. You gain corruption by by having uncored provinces, or having provinces that aren't your official religion, and it causes ideas and technology to cost more. Next to this, you'll see prestige. It's gained and lost through events and war. Losing wars causes you to lose prestige. Winning wars causes you to win prestige. Next to that, you'll see legitimacy. Legitimacy changes each year based on your royal marriages, power projection, and prestige, and 100 prestige is what you want. 0 prestige will give you very negative modifiers. And power projection is gained by conquering provinces or going to war and defeating your rivals. It gives you many stats such as legitimacy, prestige, and stability, the same stats that those would give, and other special ones such as 50 power projection will give you 1 of each technology. Now, next to that, you'll see merchants, colonists, diplomats, and missionaries. Merchants are used to put into trade nodes, and they'll help you with trade power. Colonists are used to colonize provinces. I don't have any of those yet. However, if you'll look here, part of my Muscovite national ideas, which I gain through unlocking other ideas, gives me 1 colonist, which will allow me to colonize lands like this over here. This belongs to no country, and there's a send colonist button, but I have no colonists yet to use that with. Next to that, you'll see diplomats. Diplomats are used for performing actions, which is what are happening over here. And next to that are missionaries, and they're used to convert provinces, such as this province. I know this one is a Sunni province, but I am an Orthodox country, so I can send a mercenary or a missionary here. However, I have negative 2.7% strength, which means it will never be converted, and it will just give it unrest. So I'll ignore that. Below that, you'll see what are called monarch points. Here we'll see admin points, diplomatic, and military points, and they're each used to spend to increase tech or other things. Below here, you'll see banners. These are mainly just used to show events that are happening or anything you need to look at. So once we hit this view, this will open up our country view. Starting from the left, you'll see the court view. You can see the king of my country and the heir of my country, their ages, and this means should my king die, this heir will take over the throne. You must be at least 15, your heir must be at least 15 to take over the throne. Below this, you'll see how many of each point I gain per month. So I gain 8 admin points, 3 diplomatic points, and 4 military points per month. This can be changed by having a leader who has better skills. So when my current king dies, I will be gaining 2 more admin points than I was before, the same diplomatic points, and 4 more military points than I was. Here is also the national focus. I can set my national focus to be any one of these, and it will increase this gain by 2 and decrease the other ones by 1. So I'm not going to do this, but if I were to select diplomatic power, I would be gaining, I would gain 2 more diplomatic power per month, and then I would be gaining 1 less of each of these. And if I move it to military, I'd be gaining 2 more of that and 1 less of each of the others. You can also hire advisors. So say I want more diplomatic power because I'm behind in diplomatic tech. I would click this recruit advisor button. I would pick one of these. If I wanted more spy network construction, I'd choose him. More trade efficiency, I'd choose him. And more diplomatic reputation, I'd choose him. I pay this much money per month to have them, and it will give me 1 diplomatic skill, or this one will give me 2 diplomatic skill. And these buttons just fire advisors saying, if I decided I really don't want diplomatic reputation, there's another advisor I want, I could fire this advisor and get a new one. Anyway, moving on to the next one, this is your government view. Here you can see country modifiers, so I have these from events. These are the cultures accepted in my nation. And this is just my government and what stats it gives. And this is my main culture. The next one will be my diplomacy tab. I know there are a lot of tabs in this game. This is a part, to go off on another note, one of the hardest parts of this game, and one of the most frustrating parts, usually, is becoming a new player to this game. Because although there's a tutorial, the game is decently hard to pick up because there are a lot of menus, a lot of buttons, a lot of things to look at, a lot of war to go through, and a lot of things to just pay attention to in the game. So what you have to do is you have to watch a tutorial, such as this almost, to learn what everything does, and one of the best ways to get better at this game is to just play the game. As you play the game, you'll learn, hey, that's what this button does. Oh, hey, I should move my armies here. Oh, hey, I should do this, I should do that. And it will allow you to become a better player at this game. So moving on, this is my diplomacy tab. Here you can see my king again, my heir again. These are just some stats about my diplomatic reputation and other things. These are just a summary of many of the other things I'll be showing you throughout the game, so we'll ignore this for now. Enemies are people who have rivaled you. Rivals are people who I have set as a rival, such as the Golden Horde down here, or Poland over here. What happens is, as you rival a country, it gives you stats. So if you look here, it'll say, when you're fighting against that country, you'll gain extra prestige, extra spy network construction, and less cost for demanding provinces from that country. And down here you can see many other diplomatic things, such as my truces with countries, who's improving relations with me and who I'm improving relations with, who I have royal marriages with, and what my current mission is. And over here is just a summarized view of every country in the world that I know of, their opinions of me. So moving on, you'll see my economy tab. This shows what I'm making money from, and this is the efficiency of how much I gain from it. This is what I'm spending my money on, and these sliders allow me to spend less on it. So if I were going into debt, say I was making negative 1.7 ducats, I could turn this slider all the way down. My armies would have 0.5 morale, however, I would gain 5 ducats a month instead. Here I can take loans, and here I can repay loans. Here I can reduce inflation if my country has accrued inflation, which causes inflation causes all of my costs to go up by 1%. This is my war exhaustion. This is the total development, and these are my war taxes. If I can raise war taxes for a cost of 50 military points, and for, I believe, 5 years it is, I will have less maintenance and more mercenaries. Moving on, I'll have my trade. My trade allows me to just make money off of trade. I can send my mercenaries to different trade nodes, and it will all come back here. And mercantilism translates to provincial trade power modifier, which gives me more power in my trade nodes. And you can push this button to improve mercantilism by 1, but I'll lose 100 of my diplomatic points. Moving on, you'll see technology. Technology is a very important part of the game, and it's been just updated to be very, very overhauled in the newest expansion, which came out yesterday as I'm recording this. So what happens is you can upgrade your technology by spending, as you can see here, I have spent 609 administrative points to upgrade my technology by 1. And upgrading it will give me 1 extra idea group and more production efficiency. And I neighbor a country who has a better technology than me, so it has reduced cost. So upgrading technology is a very, very core part of the game. And what it does is, as the game progresses, you'll upgrade your technology, gain new stats, gain the ability to do new things, such as I upgrade diplomatic technology, I will have more espionage options versus enemy countries, or as I upgrade my military technology, I will have different unit types. So moving, the next part of this, the newest part, the biggest part of the new expansion is something called institutions. This is what is newly added into the game. Institutions generate throughout the world. So this game tries to remain as historically accurate as possible, such as the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth that is formed in the game right now, France owning this and can fight England in the 100 Years' War, Castile forming a royal personal union over Aragon and forming Spain. And so one of the things they did was they decided to create institutions, which affects your technology. So countries such as all the European countries start with feudalism. Feudalism is at the beginning of the game, starts in 1066 historically. Moving on from that, there's one called Renaissance. This map shows you what has embraced Renaissance and what hasn't embraced Renaissance. When embraced, you gain these modifiers. It can start in the year 1450, and where it started was right here in the province of Milan, in the country of Milan, their capital. These lined provinces are countries that are currently gaining Renaissance over time, and these solid green provinces are ones that have embraced Renaissance already. In my country, we are currently at 4.38% Renaissance in this province, and it'll go up over time, and once at least 10% of my provinces have embraced Renaissance, I can embrace it, and I will lose this tech penalty that I gain each year. Each year that I've not embraced it, my tech goes up by 1% cost. Moving on, you'll see colonialism. Colonialism will usually start in a place like England, France, Castile, or Portugal, whoever starts colonizing first. And the earliest time it can occur is 1500. There is also printing presses, which appear in any Protestant German country, 1550. And the way Protestantism appears in the world is through the Protestant Reformation, which happens as Catholicism gains reform desire, which I can't show you currently because I'm not playing a Catholic country, but there's a view called the papacy, and it'll gain reform desire as countries do certain actions. There's also global trade, which is from trade power, manufacturers, which is from owning manufacturers, and the Enlightenment, which I'm not fully sure what that is actually gained through. Anyway, moving on from that, there's ideas. I can unlock idea groups and spend my monarchy points on them. So if I were to unlock defensive ideas, I would spend 400 points for each one of these ideas. Every 3 of those ideas I unlock one of these. Moving along, we have missions. You can select a mission, and it will give you an objective and a reward. So I have the mission to conquer this country here called Novgorod, but I have a truce with them, so I can't do it yet. And my reward is that I get base tax and many other things. Over here you can see national decisions, such as forming different government types, or forming the Russian nation, because Muscovy is the country that historically forms Russia, and other smaller events that I can do. Stability and expansion, this shows rebels that want to rise up in my country. My overextension and coring, this is my colonial information. These are the disasters that can appear in my country, the war exhaustion that I've accrued during war, my stability, which I can boost for admin points, and estates and territories view. Religion, this will show me all of the countries that don't have my religion, currently only this province named Kasimov, and I can send missionaries from here. The Orthodox religion has patriarch authority, where through random events I can gain patriarch authority. I have religious unity, which is that defender of the faith, where you get special modifiers for becoming the defender of the faith of your religion. And these are just informations about the tolerance of every religion in the game compared to your country. Military, there are a lot of things here that I'm not going to fully cover everything here. This is my unit types, my naval units. All of these you can just read the names of them. They give me better military stats as these numbers go up and my fort's active, and I can recruit generals and such from here, which I'm actually going to do. So if I click recruit a general, it'll cost me 50 military points. I click OK, and I now have a 1201 leader. And I can go here, no leader, and equip him onto this, and he's a 1-star general. Moving right along, we have subjects. So I have 3 subjects, the subject of Oyodev, Pskov, and Perm. This is how much they desire to become independent from me, my relations, and how much they pay me each month. And I can later, if I have positive enough relations with them, annex them. Over here we see the estates, and I'm not going to get into this because this is a very complex mechanic, but estates, you can grant them territory and then interact with them. So moving along, one of the most important parts of the game, probably the most fun parts, is war. So I'm going to unpause the game and start moving along and start setting up my troops on the edge of the Golden Horde. So currently I have a claim on this province. I'm going to show you a little bit of gameplay over this. So this is one of the most important ways in controlling the game is through war and all of your decisions. So what you see here is this is a random event that fires and a court painter available, and you get 2 options. If I choose to hire him, I will lose 40 of my money, but I will gain 10 prestige and 1 stability. Stability is one of the most important things to gain in the game, so I'm going to take this. But if I choose not to hire him, say I was already in debt and I didn't want to spend that money, I could decline him but lose 5 prestige. So I'm going to hire him. My stability is going to go up, my prestige is going to go up, and my treasury will go down by 40. So now that all of these troops are set up for war, I'm just going to show you what a little bit of war looks like. I'm going to save my game real quick though. So this could take a moment. So let's look at some of the questions I wanted to answer in this playthrough. So are the rules clear? Yes, the rules are very clear. The game's core dynamics are to expand, explore, colonize, conquer, whatever goal you want to perform as your country. As Muscovy, my goal is just to conquer and expand. The game is a good match for anyone who loves history. That's a very good point right there. I enjoy history. I took AP History and AP US History, and one of my favorite things is playing this game because you can learn about history from it. I can learn about the Protestant Reformation. I learned that Poland and Lithuania formed a commonwealth, which I had never known before now, but playing through this game I learned that. I learned where countries were back here and the history of how countries formed. There isn't really a story associated with this game. It's whatever story you set out for yourself when you play through. The balance between strategy and chance is another important factor. Events firing in the game is a very big part of RNG, random number generator. It puts a lot of chance into the game, which is one of my complaints about the game, honestly, but is one of my few complaints. And a lot of strategy goes into moving your troops, setting up all of these options that I just showed you. That is very strategy based. The game on multiplayer can be both cooperative and competitive. So if you're playing with, say, 5 friends, I could be playing as Muscovy, my friend could be playing as Poland, and I could have another friend playing as the Golden Horde. Me and my friend playing Poland could form an alliance and play against the Golden Horde and try to defeat them. Or I could form an alliance with the Golden Horde and fight Poland and try to defeat them. It's whichever one you want to do with your friends, and it's very fun to play multiplayer and do stuff like that. When you lose in this game, it will make you sad, but there is room through better strategy the next time that you go to war to recover, so that is a fun part of the game. The game, as you play, becomes easy to navigate. However, as a new player, it is very hard to navigate. I know that. I have, ashamedly, 600 hours in this game, and through that, I have learned what all of these buttons do everywhere, and what all the DLCs do, and all of that. And so let's jump right into going to war with the Golden Horde. So if I go to diplomacy, there's a declare war button, and what I can do is I can say I either want to go to war as the conquest to take Lepesk, Tambov, or I can humiliate rival, and each of them allows you a different thing, such as taking over provinces or not taking over provinces and so on. So I'm just going to say I'm going to do the conquest of Tambov, and I'm going to click confirm. These are the enemy allies who will join them. I have no allies because I'm full-on vassals over here. So I'm going to confirm. So right here you can see that all the countries honored their alliances. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these troops right here, march them into this province, or this province to go to war with these red troops. So just to get the colors straight, the green troops are my troops, the red troops are all enemy troops, and the blue troops are my allies or my vassals' troops. So what I do is I'm going to march these 17,000 troops over here to fight these 3,000 troops. Here you can see a war happening. What happens is I'm rolling 9 and he's rolling 8. This is another RNG factor. You have a chance to roll a certain number, and this increases how much damage you'll do to enemy troops, army morale, and so on. So I'll fight them, and I destroyed their army, and now what I'm doing is I'm sieging down this province with 100% because they have no fort, and I'm sieging down this province with a negative 49% chance to win the siege this month. So I've occupied this province. Once you occupy provinces, you can go to the peace view, and I could click, say, I want all of these provinces. I want to annex all of these provinces. They're going to say no, because I've only beaten 3,000 troops. But I could send the demand anyway, and they're just going to reject my generous peace offer. So that's just generally how war works. I'm going to stop sieging a province. I'm going to try to hunt down the Golden Horde's army to show you what a larger battle would look like. A lot of strategy goes into fighting your battles too, because as you cross rivers you gain penalties, or if you attack onto mountains you gain penalties. So to try to wrap this up more quickly, I'm going to go on over to the map views right here. So we have a terrain view, the political view, a trade view, which shows all trade and how the trade flows throughout the world, the imperial view, because there's a mechanic called the Holy Roman Empire, which is very historical. Right here you can see the emperor, the electors, and everyone who's in it, and reforms that they can pass, and so on. It's a complicated mechanic. Here you can see the religion view. I'm Orthodox. These are Orthodox provinces owned by a Catholic country, Sunni, Catholic, and so on. Institution view. Technology view. So Albania is the most technologically advanced as a 555 country. I am a 434 country. Culture view. So Muscovite. These are all the countries in my culture group. Dynastic view, like I'm the Rurikovich dynasty. And that was Skype, ignore that. This is development view. So these are high development provinces. So, in order to just wrap this up, EU4 is a very fun game. The war and the expansion are very exciting. And compared to competing games, I think this is a very good, and I haven't played many other games, but there's other games by Paradox, such as EU3, CK2, and there are other games such as Sid Meier's Civilization games, and I think EU4 competes very well against these games. It's constantly being updated, even with a new expansion coming out yesterday. And I think this game is very fun. It's not very beginner friendly, but as you learn the game, it becomes very, very exciting. And I'm very excited to play this game, and I was very excited to make this review of the game. I hope you all enjoyed. This has been Greg. Thank you very much.